welcome to the Once Again podcast. We are your hosts, Ashley and Jason. In today's episode, we will be discussing the second half of the first season of the 2022 Disney Plus series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ashley and I will be engaging in a full spoilers discussion, so if you don't want to know anything about this series, pause the episode of our podcast and come back once you've watched it. I have some information behind it, background information about it. Obi-Wan Kenobi is an American television miniseries created for the streaming service Disney Plus. It is part of the Star Wars franchise and stars Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, reprising his role from the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Set 10 years after the events of Star Wars Episode III, Revenge of the Sith, the series follows Kenobi as he sets out to rescue the kidnapped Princess Leia, played by Vivian Lyra Blair, from the Galactic Empire, leading to a confrontation with his former apprentice Darth Vader, played by Hayden Christensen, and voiced by James Earl Jones. The project originated as a spin-off film written by Hossein Amini, which is why he gets writing credits. He actually had nothing to do with the show, but they took a lot of his script and reworked it into the story here. And directed by Stephen Daldry. But it was reworked as a limited series following the commercial failure of Solo, A Star Wars Story in 2018. The original idea was a Star Wars anthology film, like Rogue One or Solo, about Obi-Wan rescuing Luke from a group of Tusken Raiders. However, all Star Wars standalone spin-off films were put on hold following the lower-than-expected box office returns from Solo, A Star Wars Story.
I just want to say something here. I think the problem with that is Solo had completely different actors. I think an Obi-Wan standalone would have done so much better because you would have had Ian McGregor returning and...
I agree 100%.
I think the issue with Solo 100% is that it was new actors representing old characters and, completely new set of actors. And then Rogue One did okay because it's literally a complete standalone. It has nothing to do with any of the characters we know. So that did well because of that.
Yeah, I agree. Rogue One did well, and also the thing with Solo, too, is that it's do we really need this? And it kind of, I don't want to say betrays the Han Solo character, but already makes him a, bad guy with a heart of gold. I
didn't need his backstory, I suppose is the thing. When we're talking about Obi-Wan standalone, we're not talking about the backstory of Obi-Wan, we're talking about what was he doing in the in-between years, which is something that's okay, no, really, what has he been doing this whole time?
Yeah, well, because in Episode 4, he's a smuggler who, through his interactions with Luke and Leia, has a heart of gold. He comes back and rescues Luke at the end of the movie. It's supposed to be meeting them that changed his opinion on things. But here in Solo, we get, he's always had a heart of gold, and he's always done the right thing and stuff. And I didn't really need it. But the other planned standalone films were going to be Boba Fett, which I assume became the Book of Boba Fett, a Jabba the Hutt movie about Jabba's rise to power in the crime world, and a movie about Yoda's years training as a young Jedi. And
I already have to say, I don't want a Jabba movie. I don't care about Jabba. I don't care enough. As interesting as that's a thing you give me a short.
Yeah, an animated short.
Yeah. Give me a 20-minute Disney short. I'll take that. Yoda's years training as a young Jedi, I think could possibly go over well. Yeah. Because you can do interesting things with that.
You could set it 800 years in the past, and, so none of the characters that we know will show up, or besides Yoda, none of the other characters would be around. And, that would be interesting. I agree about the Jabba the Hutt. Plus, also, is he going to be the protagonist? He's going to be the main character, speaking Huttese the whole time, and just, slugging his way around screen,
slugging his way around screen.
He's a big giant slug. I don't know. What's his enemy of the film going to be? A giant pile of salt? Oh no! I am not interested in a Jabba the Hutt standalone movie at all. But the other ones, even a Boba Fett movie, I wouldn't have been that interested in. But an Obi-Wan movie, yes, and a Yoda movie, yes.
I mean, I think the obvious thing here is we never even talked about Book of Boba Fett at all on this podcast.
Well, I still haven't watched it, yeah.
I watched half of it and was unimpressed.
From my understanding of it, the only episodes that are good are the last two episodes, which I guess are secretly
Mandalorian
Mandalorian season
episodes.
2.5 episodes. Like,
Yep.
yeah, so, but yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to talk about here with the Obi-Wan movie, is that I imagine that Boba Fett movie, which I don't have any information about this, I didn't look it up or anything, but I imagine the Boba Fett movie, they took the script and stretched it out to be the Book of Boba Fett, the first 4 episodes of that, because that's exactly kind of what they did here with the Obi-Wan TV show. But, getting back into it, McGregor was confirmed to be starring in 2019, and Deborah Chow was hired to direct a month later. Production was scheduled to begin in July of 2020, but the series was put on hold in January of 2020 because Lucasfilm was unsatisfied with the scripts. Joby Harold was hired to rewrite the series and serve as the showrunner in April of 2020. Executive producing with Chow, McGregor, Kathleen Kennedy, and Michelle Rejwan. Additional casting took place in March of 2021 with co-stars such as Joel Edgerton, Bonnie Piez, Jimmy Smits, James Earl Jones, and Hayden Christensen reprising the prequel trilogy roles. Filming began in May of 2021 in Los Angeles using stagecraft video wall technology and wrapped by September. Natalie Holt composed the score while Star Wars film composer John Williams wrote the main theme. The first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi premiered on May 27th, 2022, and the subsequent 4 episodes were released weekly until June of 2022. The series has received positive reviews. Critics have praised McGregor and Christensen's performances and Chow's direction, with some criticism of the writing. Every episode was directed by Deborah Chow, and the writers vary episode to episode but are credited as Joby Harold, Hannah Friedman, Andrew Stanton, Stuart Beatty, and Hosen Amini, which again, he wrote the movie script but didn't actually have anything to do with the show. So we'll get into it, I guess. You want to start off with episode 4, or do you want to start off with things we want to talk about?
I don't really know.
Well, I'll give a brief summary, I guess, of episode 4. Leia gets taken to, what is it called? Fortress Inquisitus?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, where the Inquisitors live on their planet, and Obi-Wan and Tala have to rescue her again. And
yeah, I felt episode 4 was mostly kind of canned, to be honest.
Yeah, it has the lowest rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it was not very interesting. I think the most interesting thing are the preserved corpses in the vault. I think that's probably the only thing that made me go, yeah, that's interesting. Nothing else going on in that episode made me like, I'm like, yep, and this continues to be the Leia saving.
Even the stuff that's supposed to be cool, like Obi-Wan using the Force again to crack that window and drown the stormtroopers and stuff, like that's supposed to be a cool moment, but then I guess he just
so ridiculous.
Yeah, he runs in the other direction and outruns the water before they close the door.
It feels so ridiculous.
Yeah, like it I don't know. And how much Tala got caught in that episode doing something and then just got away with. Like, it was like, oh, she gets stopped by that one guard at first, but she's like, I outrank you, and he's like, oh, okay, you outrank me, go ahead. Then she gets caught in that control room helping Obi-Wan, and she just kills that other Imperial officer. It's like no one finds his dead corpse, even though we see there's other people in that room.
And Reva catches her, and she still manages to like.
And then the snowspeeders show up, and I don't even remember his name now, but they yell it out when he dies. The one member of the Path that came to help them, he dies, and they're all like, oh no, not Mark, or whatever his name was.
That we only knew for like a handful of seconds.
Maybe 10 minutes at the most. Maybe 5, like, if that. Like, and they're like
I said, I think the most interesting thing for like lore intrigue is the corpses.
Yeah. Well, I presume that in some way, I don't know if they'll ever come, maybe they'll do a book about this, but I presume in some way that's going to tie in with the Mandalorian and why the Empire wants Baby Yoda. Because it has to do with Palpatine's resurrection.
Well, I know I was telling you, and I tell our audience, I just finished the Darth Plagueis book, and I know that's now a legend, so it's not in canon anymore, I'm pretty sure, anyway.
Yeah.
But, it was a good book, but they do a lot of stuff where he's trying to find Force users the whole time, basically, to try and extend his life, is what he's using. And it's a lot of midichlorian stuff, so...
So it's kind of like what Palpatine...
I assume that's kind of where they're going with here, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
taking that stuff that was in Legends and bringing it back. Because I know they've been slowly kind of pulling the Legends stuff and putting it back in canon.
Well, even in the Force Unleashed video games, the second one, I should say, you play as a clone of the
You're telling me
Star
this.
Killer. I can't remember the character's actual name, Gaelic Malik or something like. I can't remember Gavin Malik. I can't remember his name. Star Killer for short. That's his code name. But you play as a clone of him in the second game, and he was the first successful clone. I know I told you, I'm telling the audience. He was the first successful clone of a Force-sensitive person.
Yeah.
And presumably that was done for the Emperor's clones. I think all this is going to tie back into with the Emperor being cloned again.
Yeah.
And, how we got in episode 9.
I think it's definitely... and I think, like I said, all the Legends and the video games all have precedence for this to be happening. But
yeah.
the average just watcher isn't going to know that, so they're trying to,
yeah,
sneak it in so that when the time comes, they're not like, what do you mean this was going on? It's been going on.
Yeah. So that moves us on into episode 5, and I believe this one, until episode 6 came out, had the highest rating, which, of course, it's going to. But we have that, it starts off with the flashback of Obi-Wan training Anakin on Coruscant, and Anakin, is being his usual douchebag Anakin self, thinks he knows everything, and Obi-Wan is like, nope, you don't know everything yet. You actually had an interesting idea.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pull that up, because
Okay.
I know we saved it in our...
Yeah, our little chat.
In our chat.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but I know that when I was watching all those flashback scenes and watching what was happening in, current time, I was like, oh, we are going to get such a great cameo at the end of this episode. And then it didn't happen. And I'm still annoyed it didn't happen, because we didn't... I know we got cameos at the end of the 6th episode, but, those were very expected. I thought we were going to get something very unexpected here. So, that scene's happening, and I thought the lesson is going to be watching your back, because there could always be another sword behind you. Because that was kind of what Obi-Wan was trying to get Reva to do, we could both come for him, he'll never see it coming.
Mm.
And I thought that's what was going to happen in the flashback scene, that, either Mace Windu, Yoda, somebody was going to come up. Ahsoka was probably still an option at that point, maybe. There could have been someone else to pop in, right? Anyone could have shown up. Padme could have been, a random distraction that walked in at some point. Something could have happened there that would have been, shocking. And it didn't. And I was so upset, because it would have been, I think, such a better lesson, too, because... the lesson would have fit. He would have been caught off guard as a Padawan, and then he would have learned his lesson, and then he catches Reva because he had learned that lesson to be watching his back.
Yeah.
I think it would have been this good full circle moment. Would have been great.
Yeah.
And again, we would have had a nice Yoda cameo, and we all would have been like, oh my god, Yoda!
Yeah. No.
Oh my god, Mace Windu!
It would have worked, but I agree.
It would have worked so good. It would have been so surprising. None of us would have been.
Yeah, I don't know what the.
Or even one of the other, there's a bunch of other random Jedi Masters it could have been. Maybe not the average watcher would have been impressed by, but, I'm trying to think of, who's alive still at this point.
They could have had, I can never remember how to pronounce his name, but, Mundi, the one with the big head. Mm-hmm. He could have worked. They could, Plo Koon,
yeah.
Yeah, they could have had him. It could have been any of the Jedi Masters, behind Anakin during the training, to be no, you always have to be on guard and watch your back and stuff, because you never know. And then have the fight with Reva, showing that he did learn that lesson, and the thing, I don't want to fully criticize this episode, because the fight with Reva is cool, because it shows the difference between someone who's Force-sensitive, but isn't trained, versus a fully trained Jedi Sith, like Darth Vader is. Because Reva's coming at him with everything that she has, and he's just you don't even know what you're doing. You're a child. Yeah. She does get promoted to Grand Inquisitor, and then, Vader stabs her again, because it gets revealed to us that she was a Padawan that he stabbed during Order 66, and she pretended to be dead. She didn't actually die. She pretended to be dead and laid with the corpses of her friends. And that's her whole motivation, is that she's joined the Inquisitors and is trying to get close to Vader, to kill him because she knows that Vader is Anakin Skywalker, and she wants to kill him for what he did to essentially her family. Like, the Jedi were the only family she had, and he killed all of them. Yes. He slaughtered them like animals.
I'll say it, we'll get more into it in the last part, but I do not like Reva or her, like, character arc or, like, anything. But the things that drive her, like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like...
Well, the thing that I don't know... I had a fine thing with it. It's just... It's the story that we've seen 100 times from Star Wars already. We've seen Dark Force users get redemption. That's what her whole story arc... That's Anakin's story arc. That's everyone besides Darth Maul and Palpatine, essentially. Mm-hmm. You know, the two of them still die power hungry and want revenge and everything like that. But Palpatine's the only one we've seen in live action that happened with. I don't know how many people have actually watched Rebels, but I'm sure people have seen on the internet the clip of Obi-Wan and Darth Maul's final confrontation where Obi-Wan kills him. And, like, it's to represent that Obi-Wan has grown and surpassed and become more than what he was, and Darth Maul hasn't. Like, Obi-Wan uses Qui-Gon Jinn's fighting stance to trick Maul into trying to go for the same move that he used to kill Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan just kills him instead. He slices him down. And it's to show that Obi-Wan has grown and become a master, whereas Maul is still this apprentice that has all this hatred and everything in his heart and has it. But my point is, Maul in animation, and then Sidious, Palpatine in the movies are the only two Dark Force users that, like, can't we just have evil people? Like why does every Sith have to have a redemption arc?
Well, I think
Ben Solo,
and I think the thing is like Reva went a very odd way with this. Like, you know, the fact that she chose to go this route. Like,
yeah.
Why is she not helping all the, like, resistance and trying to kill Vader that way? Like, there's a million ways that she could be trying to get her goal. Then she still doesn't want to work with somebody like Obi-Wan. And, like, I get it because Anakin was Obi-Wan's apprentice, but at the same time, like, she's still not letting those that'll inevitably get her to her goal help her. And it's such an odd thing. And then in the 6th episode, when she goes after Luke, and, like, we'll get there too, I guess, but, like, to me, and, you know, she finds her redemption there by not killing him, but I'm like, why would that even occur to you to do it in the first place?
Yeah.
And then she's gone at the end of the episode. Like, where the hell did she go now? Like...
Yeah, she buried her... Well, we didn't even see her. She just drops her lightsaber in the sand. And then Obi-Wan says, you can go do... I have a suspicion in a couple weeks where we might get an announcement that there's going to be a Reva spin-off show or series or something. Or she's going to show up in Cassian Andor's show.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, like...
Maybe... I don't know.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a couple people that are going to show up in Cassian Andor. I think that Camille Anjani's I think his character's name is Haja or something. The fake Jedi. And the other guy whose name I don't even remember, but Obi-Wan says to him, "Oh, you're such a good leader. Like, you know, you can lead these people." And and I'm like, a character we spent, I don't know, 40 minutes with maybe total, who I don't even remember his name because he didn't really make that much of an impression.
Yeah, honestly, the whole time I was like, is this somebody we're supposed to know? Like, from the movies? Like, is this, like, them, like, have they mentioned this guy's name before? And I just, like, never...
No, and they could have brought in, what is his name? Not Lawrence Fishburne, who played Saul Guerrera.
Yeah.
In
would have been a good one.
Yeah, they could have brought him in and, you know, had him show up or something. Like, they have characters that they could use that for whatever reason they're not using. Maybe the actors don't want to come back. I don't know, but I think you can write a big enough check to get them back for these things.
Especially for, like, a one-time thing.
Yeah. And then Tala sacrifices herself for basically no reason. Because, like, the Empire comes through and, like, I guess she buys time for them, but it was a very poorly scripted moment, I think. Like, essentially the rebels, the Path, are trying to escape, and the Empire closes the one door that they need to open to get out, and Leia gets the door open, blah, blah, blah. Obi-Wan stops them, the Empire advances, Obi-Wan stops them again, him and Reva come up with their plan for Vader, which I thought meant was going to be the two of them fighting them, but it wasn't. It just meant Obi-Wan's going to be a distraction while she attacks him.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
Yeah, which of course Vader was going to own her, and he does. And then the Grand Inquisitor shows back up and was like, "Nah, you thought like we knew that you were an idiot the whole time. Like we've just been using you this whole time because you're okay." But something that is interesting, because I went back and watched the first episode, and the Grand Inquisitor does the same thing that Vader does in the fight. Reva's trying to kill someone on Tatooine, like to intimidate the other people to get information out of them, and the Grand Inquisitor stops her lightsaber, but he's struggling with it. Like it shows, like even he's more powerful than her, but he's nowhere near Vader level. Like Vader is, because Vader's just like, this is so easy. This is child's play. I'm going to sidestep you every swing you make, and I'm going to take your lightsaber from you and then turn it into 2 lightsabers, and then we're going to fight that way. But it was a cool Vader moment.
I have enjoyed all the Vader fighting in all these episodes.
Yeah.
But you know what part 5 made me think too is I'm like, we went with this nice like flashback theme going on. Why didn't we do the entire time?
Yeah.
Like I think like use Hayden Christensen. You got him. Like
I'll tell you what.
maybe I didn't want to see like all the time, but like use it for like 2 or 3 more episodes than this. Like give me that. And again, you can have characters that are dead. We could have seen Padme again. You know how like freaking wild everybody would have went being like, you got Natalie Portman to agree to do this?
Yeah, and it's not like she's above working for Disney or something, because she's going to be in the next Thor movie.
Yeah, so like she would totally. Yeah. Even if she hated playing Padme, you gotta tell me you can't give that woman enough money to like say a couple lines and give a couple smiles to a camera.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. The whole flashback thing for me, it's funny. I'm going to criticize it. But not what people are expecting. I think Hayden Christensen looked fine. People are saying, oh, he wasn't as tan as he was in the prequel like movies and stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's also not 2002 anymore. Like being as tan as you could be in 2002 was all the rage. Like, but I don't know. It was fine for me. I think Obi-Wan, his wig was off. Like for that, like his hair wasn't as luscious as it is in the prequel movies. That's the criticism I have of that flashback scene, is that Obi-Wan's hair didn't look right. But whatever, the episode was fine. Showed a cool Vader moment. Also him stopping the ship in midair.
Oh, that was ridiculous. I was like, no. We're just doing crazy things now.
Well, Starkiller does that in the Force Unleashed video games. But that moves us on to episode 6. I'm skipping ahead of here, because I listed them as Roman numerals, so got it wrong. Or, excuse me, part 6, because that's all the episodes, their names are part 1, part 2, part whatever. But Reva arrives on Tatooine to locate Luke, while Obi-Wan and Vader, engage in another fight. And I have to say, I think what they should have done was had the whole Obi-Wan Vader scene first, and then the Reva stuff, not cutting back and forth, because it makes Obi-Wan leaving the fight and then going to confront Reva unusual, in my opinion. Like the timing of it and everything. Like I know that they can travel at light speed and everything, but I don't know, I think it would have worked better. But we get the Vader helmet off moment that we were talking about.
Yes.
The fight's pretty cool between Obi-Wan and Vader. I have a few things that we put in our predictions that I'm saving to talk about, but
yes, it was a good fight though.
Yeah, but also Vader gives Obi-Wan the whole thing that he tells Luke in episode 4. He says, oh, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. And so it's not even Obi-Wan's certain point of view what he told Luke was true. It's Vader's point of view that he killed Anakin Skywalker. So that's where he gets it from. They took the helmet off moment from Rebels. I guess whenever Vader fights someone that was important in his life in the past, his helmet's just going to come off and reveal that it is Anakin Skywalker under there and everything. And we're going to hear his voice. In Rebels, it was the voice actor from the Clone Wars series that came back and did it. Here we had Hayden Christensen speaking, so that was cool. Also, the way that they lit his face up, it had Obi-Wan's blue lightsaber when it was Hayden Christensen speaking, and then it had Vader's red lightsaber illuminating his face when it was James Earl Jones speaking and everything. That was pretty cool. But I was kind of disappointed. Granted, Obi-Wan literally throws everything at Vader in their fight, and destroys his little breathing suit and everything. But then he's just kind of like, hey, Obi-Wan, get back here. Fight me some more. Like, it was like, did Vader want to die in that moment? Did he want Obi-Wan to kill him? And Obi-Wan just, like, everything that Vader does is Obi-Wan's fault. He left him on the lava planet, didn't kill him there, and he left him up here knowing, whatever.
Knowing he wasn't dead.
Yeah, I've now personally witnessed him slaughter people, innocent people in a town when he was hunting me down. And he's killed younglings and everything. Like, he's responsible for the Empire growing stronger and everything. I'm just gonna, whatever.
Yeah, I don't like it, especially because it's like, I mean, of course they can't kill it because there's movies that happen after this now, so, like, I get it, but also, like, I hate it for, like, I don't think Obi-Wan, like, legitimately would have done that.
No.
Like, there's really no reason for it, especially after Anakin's like, you didn't kill, you didn't kill me. Like, when he says that, it's like, okay.
Now
boom.
Kill him. Yeah. Cut his head off.
Like, he gave you, like, complete permission to kill him, basically. Yeah. Do it.
What I thought was going to happen, because they have a scene where the Grand Inquisitor is saying, because Vader decides to chase after Obi-Wan instead of the other members of the Path. And the Grand Inquisitor's like, the Emperor's not going to like this. Like, you should go after the Path. We can destroy them here and end this rebellion and everything. And Vader's like, nope, we're going after Obi-Wan. And then he says, I'm going to face him alone. I thought what they were going to do was have the Grand Inquisitor interfere and screw things up. And that's why, Obi-Wan escapes, whatever. Like, that's why
that would have made a lot more sense.
They don't kill each other. Yeah, like, it was just weird that, like, Obi-Wan's just like, okay, well, I beat you, but I'm not going to kill you, and
Obi-Wan
leaves.
walking away is odd. I get why it had to happen, but then, like, don't have a scene like this, because Obi-Wan would not have walked away in that moment.
Yeah, especially since the camera's on his face so close. I thought they were going to do something like the Grand Inquisitor stabs him in the leg with a lightsaber or something, and then Obi-Wan could beat the Grand Inquisitor and, like, run away because his legs hurt now or something. Like, he has to get to safety. But no, they didn't do that. And then Reva shows up at Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's.
And, like, badass Owen and Beru, like...
Well, they gave Beru something to do, besides pour blue milk. Like, they were like, we have to give this character something to do. Like, she's never really had...
And I think it's funny, because Owen is like, oh, we need to get more people, and Beru's like, we got this.
Yeah.
Let's go. And I'm like, Aunt Beru about to prove she a killer out here. Like...
Yeah. Unfortunately, they do not got this.
They do not got it. Yeah, but, like...
Because Uncle Owen is a terrible shot. He directly misses... It's not
he learned from Stormtroopers.
Yeah, I guess so, because he would make one hell of a Stormtrooper, because Reva doesn't, like, block his shots with lightsabers or anything. He just misses her straight out. But she takes him down, she takes Beru down. Luckily, Luke escapes into a little hatch and runs into the desert. And then when she finally catches up with him and knocks him out, she sees himself in her. She's like, no, he's innocent. Like, she's like, I can't do to him what was done to me. And she brings his unconscious body back. And by that time, Obi-Wan's there as well. And she's like, she breaks down, cries, and what am I going to do? And he's like, your path is your own now. And I think we're going to get a Reva spin-off show. Or she's going to show up, like I said, in Cassian Andor or some other show. But I don't know. Overall, I think the series was good. I think, like I've said before, it was the movie script that they changed some things and just stretched out into 6 hours. It would have been much better as a 2-hour movie rather than nearly a 6-hour show.
Definitely.
Yeah. But, yeah, and it ends, the last thing is Obi-Wan's going back to his hut on Tatooine. He's got his groove back now. He's in nice new clothes. And he sees Qui-Gon Jinn. And it was great to see Liam Neeson. I said in our first episode, he pretty much looks exactly the same. Just slap a brown wig and beard on him, and then make him a blue Force ghost. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah, they were like, oh yeah. And he looks exactly the same. The one criticism I have of that is that he sounded way more Irish in this than he did in the prequel movies. But whatever. It's been 20 years since Liam Neeson did the movies. Maybe he didn't want to do the same exact accent or something. Maybe they can only get him for a day or something. I don't know. But it was cool to see him and Obi-Wan. Presumably, I think if they do a season 2, it's going to be, Qui-Gon giving Obi-Wan missions to do. Like, he's going to use his Force ghost abilities to see what Obi-Wan has to go and fix, and maybe we'll see a little more of Qui-Gon in season 2, if they do a season 2. So, is there anything else you'd like to say, or should I go into our predictions?
No, I think we can go right into predictions.
Okay, so I wrote our predictions I went back and listened to the first episode, and I wrote whether we got them right or wrong or in between. So I wrote, the first one was the second half will save the series, and I put that that's correct. I think the second half of the episodes, minus episode 4, was better than the first half of the series.
They're definitely better. I don't know if they necessarily saved it. Like, I still think it could have been...
Oh, it could have been much better.
It could have been much better.
Yeah.
Like, it lacked
yeah, all the criticism that we went through, I think, is fair, but I still think overall, like, the problem, I'll say two things. One, I can tell when Disney doesn't have faith in a series because they do the first two episodes. They release the first two episodes. They did that for this, they did that for WandaVision. Anything that they think isn't going to do well and keep an audience, they do the first two episodes to try and keep people, and then they do the weekly episodes after that. I think this would have been better if it was released like Netflix releases their shows where you could watch it all at once. Because if you sat there for 5.5 hours, 6 hours going through it, you might forget some of the boring parts and everything because you're on to the next episode already. And then at the end you have, oh, the Obi-Wan Vader fight. Like, this is awesome. Da-da-da. You know, yeah, it was a good series overall. I do like the Disney model better. I think it's better for retaining customers than Netflix, and also just better for the show because Umbrella Academy, the 4th season or whatever of Umbrella Academy just came out on Netflix, and I have to rewatch the first 2 or 3 seasons, whatever there were, because I don't remember what happened in the show, because I watched it all, like, you know, all over 2 days when they came out, and now I'm like, I don't even remember what went on in that show. And whereas these Disney shows I remember because it's a week, every week I get to discuss it with friends and talk about where we think it's going, blah, blah, blah. But I do think that the second half of the season saved it. I put that, or one of our predictions was Force Lightning will age Obi-Wan, and we were completely wrong in this. There was no Force Lightning.
Obi-Wan didn't age at all, and
No.
now we're still left. This is why I think there needs to be a season 2. I still need my answers of aging Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Why does he look like Alec Guinness 9 years from now when he looks like... Nothing against Alec Guinness, he was a handsome old man, but he looks like... and doesn't look anything like Ewan McGregor does, you know. Well, we'll see.
We're not there.
Our third prediction was that the Emperor will show up. We were correct. You specifically said the Emperor will be in the last episode. Also correct. I said that the Emperor will be upset with Vader for hunting Obi-Wan Kenobi. Also correct. In fact, like, he basically says to him, like, he not only criticizes him for wasting time hunting Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he essentially says to him, he's like, What are you doing? He's no longer your daddy. I'm your daddy now. And Vader's like, yes, daddy. Like,
basically.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, daddy. I won't go after him anymore. But that we had that happen. We predicted that there will be a flashback with Hayden Christensen. Everyone predicted that, but I put down that we were correct in that. We wrote that the younglings in Order 66 are Inquisitors. I put that we were half right because it was Reva specifically. We also predicted that the younglings will possibly save Obi-Wan. We were just wrong in that. That didn't happen. We will definitely get a Qui-Gon Jinn cameo. Correct. He will be a blue Force ghost. Also correct. 50-50 shot that Ahsoka will show up. We were wrong. But we also said if we get a season 2, Ahsoka will show up. At this time, that's unknown. We're wrong, but unknown, I'm going to say. Yoda may show up. We were incorrect. And if we get a season 2, he'll show up. Unknown. The Grand Inquisitor will come back. We were correct. And certain characters will get a spin-off show or movie. I put down that we were right because I believe that there's some rumors of a Reva show happening, but also unknown at this time. Maybe some Mandalorians from Mandalore will show up. Completely wrong about
I'm so
that.
sad about that.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot about that too. Like, there are so many people. Like, I'll have to talk about like what we would want out of a second season. I think once we're done going through this list.
Yeah, agreed. We predicted that there'll be a Vader helmet off moment, correct, and that we would hear Hayden Christensen's voice during this, correct. This was one of my predictions that Obi-Wan will get his Force powers back and he'll throw sand at Vader, and I put half right because he got his Force powers back to full power, T-posed on Vader, and then threw rocks like huge boulders at him, which I would argue broke up into little sand pieces.
Close enough to sand.
Yeah,
I'll give it to you. I'll let you take it.
Yeah. We wrote that someone will lose an arm, and I wrote down that we were half wrong in that because Tala definitely lost her arm when she used that thermal detonator to blow up as many stormtroopers as she could.
It doesn't count.
No, it does not count. And we also wrote that they took the script from the movie and stretched it out half right. It's not exactly an adaptation because, like I said, the movie script was about Obi-Wan saving Luke from Tusken Raiders. Here it's Obi-Wan saving Leia from the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we got some things right, some things wrong. It was much better than we did with Loki.
Yeah.
Loki, almost every prediction we made,
we were just wrong.
Yeah, I think we only got one or two. Yeah,
Dum-dums is what we were.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that is it lazy writing here that we got so many predictions right? Like, should we as fans be able to say, oh, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen?
I will say the thing is Star Wars in general is much more predictable kind of thing. Like, that's why I said it would have been cool if they had all those cameos I was talking about earlier, because it would have been unpredictable.
Yeah.
And fans would have lost their shit.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like that's what they're looking for. They want fans to have big reactions. But they never give it to us necessarily.
Yes.
And I wish they would more. Like...
Yeah. Well, I personally have an idea for season 2. I'm not going to say too much. But if Disney wants to contact me, I'm more than willing to sell them the idea for it. And not even for an enormous amount of money. A small amount of money I'll take. But what I will say is in Rise of Skywalker, we learned that Rey's father was a failed clone of the Emperor. So essentially the Emperor's Rey's father. Everyone says grandfather, but I'm like, no, he's a clone. He's the same thing. The Emperor's her father. We don't know much about Rey's mother. And there's still some time for Obi-Wan to, get it on. Maybe Rey's mother... Because the original idea in Episode 7 was that Rey was going to be Obi-Wan's granddaughter, or great-granddaughter, or something like that. That's why the lightsaber called to her, because Obi-Wan actually had Anakin's lightsaber way longer than Anakin had it. And so the lightsaber called to her, blah, 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 all that stuff in Episode 7. And that's why she hears Obi-Wan's voice when she gets the lightsaber and everything. But they went in a different direction. They brought back Palpatine and decided to make her Palpatine's granddaughter, / daughter, I would say. But I have an idea that, we should learn more about Rey's mother, and maybe she's got some genetic ties to Obi-Wan, because there's still, what, did Obi-Wan go 19 years without getting, after the Jedi Order fell, he went 19 years without getting it on at least once?
Which brings back, I think, a point we're making, that it'd be nice to see all the Mandalorians and, Satine, and,
Well, she's dead.
Is she dead at this stage? Did we decide that? I thought we decided that she wasn't last time we were talking.
Maul killed her in the Clone Wars to make Obi-Wan angry. But, he maybe Obi-Wan bonds with, I can't remember her name, but Satine's sister.
I got that.
Who showed up in The Mandalorian and everything. Maybe they get really close one night and stuff. They have to cuddle for warmth or something. And they were, whatever happens.
Like I said, what I'd like to see is definitely, if there's a second season, definitely some more cameos, because, again, it doesn't have to be the big names. We can get, Plo Koon and, things like that. That would also be fabulous, to be honest. But, I definitely don't, again, I know it's crazy, it's on the end, I said it, I'd like to see Padme. Yeah. Because we're not going to get her anywhere else. No. She's not going to be in anything. Yeah. We're just not going to get there. Yeah.
Even a flashback, or hire Natalie Portman to play one of Padme's handmaidens and be a plot to distract
Vader. I was telling you that I thought it would be interesting to get more of the handmaidens, because I don't think it's canon anymore, what happened. I think that's all in Legends now, but, originally they hunt down Vader. Yeah. And Vader slaughters them, but,
like animals.
Yes. So, I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah. It would be cool. There is a canonical story now about a handmaiden who Vader thinks is Padme. It's in one of the comics that I never read. I was looking up online after we had that conversation. But he actually ends up going on some sort of mission with her, and then finds out that she's in the Rebel Alliance, and he kills her. But, at first he's like, Padme's alive? Oh, my God. Oh, Padme. Oh, my love. And she's like, Padme? How do you know that name, you weirdo? Stay away from me. You're like the Emperor's #1 guy. I don't want you anywhere near me. And he's like, no, Padme, my love, I will do anything for you. And she's like, I'm not Padme, you creep. Stay away. I forget her name.
Is it Sabe? Or is it one of
I think it is Sabe.
Because Sabe is the main handmaiden.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too, is that all of her handmaidens were supposed to kind of look like her so they could be distractions and protect her and everything.
They all look like her. They're supposed to all be... But they're all... they all have names. They all have stories. I'd be...
You know what's really weird?
Again, I'd be very curious to see them
Well, I found out in researching that they all have different names, and then when they became Padme's handmaiden, she gave them names that are like the first three letters of their original name and May at the end of it to be like her name. Like, I'm like, that's kind of creepy. Like, she's like, no, you don't have your own identity anymore. Now I give you an identity. Like, I don't know. Granted, they're the royal family on that planet, so maybe you could make an argument about what's it called?
Yeah.
Having royalty. But whatever. I don't know. I think in a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. I don't know about months, but I think they'll announce a season 2 of Obi-Wan because fans are going to want more. Maybe not even. Maybe they'll do a movie or something. I don't know. But fans are going to want more of Ewan McGregor as this character, and he likes playing him.
I want more of that. I want more Hayden Christensen, to be honest.
Yeah.
I want, like I said, I want Padme if we can figure out how to sneak her in. Because, we're never going to get her in a movie or anything at this point. She's not going to be in any of these other TV shows coming out. So,
No. Yeah.
We got to shove her in somehow, I feel. That would be great.
Yeah, would
people,
be cool.
People love Padme. I think that's the point.
Yeah. But is there anything else you'd like to say about the series, or should we conclude?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Mostly just more cameos. I'd like to see an aging up Obi-Wan, because we need him to have it make sense, as it were.
Yeah. Bring back Mace Windu for something. Like, I don't even like Samuel L. Jackson as an actor.
Oh, agreed.
I want to see him again. Like, I want to see that character.
Especially because they've proven they can pretty much bring back anybody they freaking want to. So, like, make it happen.
Forrest Whitaker is the actor's name that I was trying to think of. Forrest Whitaker, Saul Guerrera. Yeah, bring him in, do something. I believe Frank Oz has announced that he's retired from voicing Yoda, but there's a million voice actors that can sound like Yoda. Bring one of them in and have Yoda show up. Something.
100%. Bring in
Anthony Daniels, bring in C-3PO, but make him useful. Don't just have him as a joke.
Well, even, that would have been cute to get, R2 or C-3PO in that little flashback scene somehow. There's so many... I think that's what made me upset, is that they did that flashback scene that one episode and didn't do it the rest of the time when we could have, gotten some other stuff shoved in.
You just made me think about your lesson about teaching Anakin to always be prepared. R2 just zaps him with his...
Oh my god, the comic relief we needed. Yeah,
with his little zapper and
love it. Yeah, forget my plan of it being like Yoda.
Yeah, R2. Yeah, that would have been fantastic. But yeah, that's.
And then we could have had C-3PO come in and explain the lesson, and everyone would have been like,
"Oh, R2, what Master Kenobi is trying to teach you here, Master Skywalker, is that you should always defend yourself."
Oh, I need it now.
Yeah. Let's
redo this entire season.
Yeah, let's put that out there. People who are very talented at filming things, go make that happen.
Make it happen. Yeah. I'm too dumb to make it happen.
Yeah. But so, without anything else, that concludes this week's episode of the Once Again podcast. Thank you for joining us. Any questions, comments, or critiques can be addressed to our email at onceagainpod@gmail.com. Follow us at onceagainpod, all one word, on Twitter, Instagram, and by the time this episode comes out, TikTok, because I've started a TikTok account for us. If you are feeling generous and would like to contribute to the podcast, we have several tiers available on patreon.com/onceagainpod. Also, a like and a share would be greatly appreciated. Thank you and have a wonderful day. And remember, we will entertain you. We will always entertain you. Rumpelstiltskin always says that magic comes with a price. But for this price, you can get a nice piece of jewelry. Use code ONCEPOD for 10% off your first order at Unusual Magic Jewelry on Etsy. Click the link in the description.